It's everything we expected. It just nails it down for us a little bit. It gives me a little bit of leeway now to open up the ability to follow through with the Korean War veterans thing and have a certificate of death, and we can now follow through with a proper burial.
Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Jack Ford. That was Michael Carroll, whose family is breathing a sigh of relief tonight as a bizarre 60-year-old murder mystery haunting them has now been at least partially solved. That Lake Grove family always wondered what became of their missing father. Now they have an answer, sort of. In fact, there are also a lot more questions about this decades-old apparent crime. Korean War veteran George Carroll mysteriously disappeared from his Lake Grove, Long Island home back in 1961. After years of wondering what became of their father, and at wit's end, George Carroll's now adult sons even hired a psychic to help. And then things started to get even stranger. Here to tell us more about it, fill us in on the backstory, and the latest, Newsday reporter Michael O'Keefe. Michael, welcome back to you.
Hi.
Each time you and I talk, this gets stranger and stranger.
It's a very curious story.
It is.
For sure.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Yeah.
Let's start to give our viewers who might not have followed this from the beginning, that backstory we talked about. So George Carroll, we talked about a Korean War veteran, disappears in 1961. At that time, was anything done? Were there any suspicions as to what might have happened to him?
Well, you know, the police have said they have no record of anyone filing a missing persons report. George was the father of 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. The children always wondered what had happened to him. Their mother told them that George just went out one day and didn't come home. And so, you know, the family really wrestled with a lot of different issues. Had they been abandoned by their father? As they got older, they heard other theories. People told them that he may have come to a more nefarious end. Some people even suggested he was buried in the basement. And
what got them then to say, all these years later, let's start looking into this? And how did they go about looking into it?
Michael Carroll, who was the youngest son of George Carroll, he purchased the house from his mother in the 1980s, and he's always wondered what was going on with, you know, with these stories about my father being buried in the home true. At one point, a few years ago, he hired a psychic who told him, your father is buried here. Just this past summer, he brought in a team of paranormal investigators who said, there's an energy in this house for sure.
Do we know whether either the psychic or the paranormal investigators had been given any information by Michael or anybody else suggesting that the father might be buried there, or do we not know what their conversation
I don't know what the conversations were. You know, I do know that they were, it turns out they were right. There was
but they were positive about something there.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did the family start to do then after they got this information, most recently from the paranormal investigators?
I think one of the turning points was that Michael Carroll hired a guy with ground penetrating radar to come in and just look at the basement. And this guy found a disturbance in the soil. Now, it could have been, you know, a tree root. It could have been an animal buried there. It could have been a buried treasure. But Michael decided that he was going to dig, and he dug. He started to tear up the basement a little bit, and he thought he may do some structural damage. So he kind of held off, and then he had some health issues. So his sons took up that work again, and they dug close to where the guy with the radar had determined there was some sort of a disturbance. But the interesting thing is, it wasn't exactly below that spot. It was a little over. They found a place, like a concrete box almost, there had been a well there and had been capped off, and then there's concrete put around it. And right before Halloween, that is where Michael Carroll's sons found these bones.
Now, last time you and I talked was around that time, and these human remains were found. What has happened with regard to them since that time?
Yeah, the Suffolk County Police Department investigated this. They took control of the remains. Was brought to the Suffolk
because,
County.
As you said, up to this time, they were not investigating at all.
They had no idea that there was even, you know, that the guy was missing.
Right.
They took the remains to the medical examiner, and the medical examiner, you know, brought in a forensic anthropologist, and they were able to determine, based on DNA, that this was indeed George Carroll. So they identified these remains as George Carroll's remains.
Were they able to make any determinations as to either a cause or a manner of death?
Yes, the skull had a fracture that they think was caused by blunt force trauma, and the medical examiner said that could have been that was one cause of death. Now there could have been others. So much of the body had decomposed, or so much tissue was gone. It's really hard to say if there had been other injuries, but the medical examiner believes that that was one of the causes of death.
So the police now have that information. What have the police done with regard to this case at this juncture?
They're treating this as a homicide investigation. So, that said, there's not a lot of places they can go with this, because so many of the people who they may have wanted to question have passed away. There's one interesting person who just died this summer that the police would have liked to have talked to. The Carroll's mother, Dorothy Carroll, had a relationship with a man who was working as a contractor or a handyman at the house at the time of George's disappearance. They were expanding the house at the time. His name is Richard Darris. He ultimately married Dorothy and moved in, and they had another son who is also now part of that family. Richard died near the Mexican border in Texas over the summer. The police have said he's a person we would have liked to have talked to about this.
They certainly would have. I mean, I was a prosecutor. You certainly would have talked to the wife if she was still alive,
Yes.
and her paramour, then husband, if he was still alive. So what are they saying at this point? As you said, they're characterized it as a homicide investigation. Is there anything for them to do?
I think it's, a case maybe, there's not much you can do really, but I think it's one of those cases where I wouldn't completely shut the book on this yet, because we've seen this happen before. People, as they get older, they want to clear their conscience. Maybe someone knows something, will come forward. There's also a lot of questions about that relationship in that house. We know that this has been really a horrifying experience for George Carroll's children, and this has brought up a lot of emotions. And so I think there's more to this story, and we hope that we hear from them, and we hear from anyone else who might have information about this in the future. And I know the police are interested too.
And police can actually close a case without a prosecution if they feel they have enough information.
Sure.
So, well, we'll continue to keep an eye on this, Michael. I'm sure you will also. So we'll get you back in and we'll talk as this continues to unravel.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for spending some time.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you. Take care now.